Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all of my baggage droppers around the world, welcome to another episode of the Drop Your Baggage podcast, where we talk to people that are dope, that can give you hope, and show you a technique that can help you cope. I am your host, the self-talk engineer, Charles Woolfork, and if you are right here, right now, on the YouTube or Facebook platform, please don't even consider it. Go ahead and smash that like button and share this with somebody who needs a blessing. And if you're on a podcast platform, give a brother 5 stars and some feedback as well. Hey, today we have a freaking rock star in the house, y'all. This is Chase Warburton. Now, Chase is a young entrepreneur. Now, listen, he is a survivor of an 18-year-long battle with addiction. Chase has emerged as a beacon of hope and transformation. With 5 years of sobriety under his belt, he has conquered the demons that once haunted him, turning his life around in remarkable ways. Currently, he has a majority of his efforts in his wellness center in Ogden, Utah, where he uses red light therapy to recalibrate the body. But most of all, you know, we family guys around here. He is the husband of a beautiful wife for 5 years and two adorable children. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you Chase Warburton. What's up, Chase?
That was wild. It's just us on the episode. How you doing, Charles?
Hey, I do need an applause button somewhere.
Dude, that.
Hey, good morning, y'all, or good afternoon. Where you at?
Good morning, dude. Yeah, no, it's about 11 o'clock here, so we're still in the morning. But good morning to you, Charles. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, bruh, outstanding, man. Outstanding. Now, what better way to begin my day by talking to a boss like you? You feel me?
I feel you, man. I breathe you. Yeah, dude, you're living on an island, man. So you're already waking up to Nirvana.
I mean, it's not bad. Not, to only have like 2 seasons. You know what I mean?
You warm and warmer.
Yeah. That's the remake of the movie. I'll go ahead and call up Jim Carrey. Hey, so Chase, man, your story is absolutely remarkable. And here on the Drop Your Baggage podcast, I like to hear stories and have people tell stories of transformation in their life. And man, the transformation that you've had over the short 27 years that you've been on this planet, that you've been in this universe, is phenomenal, bro. I'm telling you, man, it's so inspiring. So I am going to let me get my popcorn. Can I have popcorn for breakfast?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I ate 2 ice cream sandwiches this morning, so absolutely you can eat popcorn for breakfast.
Hey, I got the popcorn ready. Dog, please go ahead, tell these people your story. And if I got 80 questions on the way, I'll go ahead and I'll butt in. But go ahead, bro. Do you?
Dude, love it, man. Thank you. And first, dude, thank you so much for having me on the podcast, man. This is going to change my life. This is going to change the lives of other people, all your followers. I'm just so grateful to be here. I'm so grateful to be sharing my story with you guys. So yeah, I'll get right into it. I'll just get right to the almond butter, man. Born and raised in Utah, lived here my whole life, and born into a kind of a wealthy family. You know, my dad owned a business, did really good, and have an older brother, younger sister, all biological. And you know, we had the picture perfect life, right? Big house, nice cars, good clothes, all that kind of stuff growing up. And I still have a lot of trauma from all that kind of stuff too. So I always just like to make people aware that like there's trauma no matter like where you're at in life, no matter what situation you're in, no matter what class you're in, hierarchy, social status, income or net worth. There's going to be trauma there in some ways, and this is just kind of my story. So started when I was really young. When I was 3, we adopted a little sister, and just going to go right into where my trauma is from. Adopted a little sister, and kind of a rocky road. She's an amazing little lady. Love her to death still. And we adopted her when we were 3. And then when I was 6, about 3 years later, my parents ended up giving her back up for adoption. So that was kind of the first place where I started to realize that nothing's permanent, that I can lose, that things can be lost, that things can be given away, that life isn't the whole beautiful Disney persona that is put on and put out there. And so I grew up with this mindset of, hey, I can be given away. And if I'm not perfect, I've got to perform. My life has to be a performance for my parents, or I'm going to be given away. So grew up with kind of that mindset, that mentality, started really young. And then, just kind of hanging out, playing with my friends and, nothing special, just growing up. When I was 8, I got introduced to pornography. It's funny. I was at a Christian church doing a computer technology class. And I remember it so clearly. We had just finished the course, and the instructor was allowing us to play games on the computers for the last 10-15 minutes that they had allotted in time. And the kid next to me was playing this game that I thought was really cool. So I tried to copy the URL. And when I clicked search, pornography popped up. And I remember sitting there just like, as an 8-year-old, for those people on the podcast, my jaw just dropped. My eyes were as wide as quarters. And, it's totally like, whoa, what is this? And, my eyes got covered pretty quick by the instructor. Things got shut down. And that's where I really started getting into addiction. That's where that curiosity I started to probe that a little bit more, explore that a little bit more. By the time I was 10, I was 10, I believe. And so I'm ADHD, super ADHD. So if I go off on random tangents, that's why. And I remember one time I was taking Adderall when I was young, to kind of help regulate all the ADHD. And I remember one day I had missed my Adderall. So I thought, oh, next day I'll just take 2 and I'll be good. And I was on like 25 milligrams of Adderall at that young age, which is like the legal limit back then for adults.
Damn.
So I took 2 pills of Adderall that day, and I was wired. As a little kid, I got so much stuff done that day. But man, I remember feeling really like almost like my body was vibrating, but it felt so good.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I started getting addicted to popping pills when I was super young. And then, so I was homeschooled as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I was homeschooled up until 7th grade. So by the time I got into 7th grade, I told my mom basically like, you're putting me in school. Like, I hate being homeschooled. This is terrible.
Yeah.
It was great. But for me at that time, I wanted friends, and my sister and my brother do not constitute friends. Love them to death. They're amazing people, but they're not friends. So they're siblings. So I go into junior high, and I'm socially awkward, and I always smell bad, and I was bullied horrendously people because I was awkward.
Mm-hmm.
And suffered with bullying a lot through junior high, which only exacerbated the pornography addiction sometimes. And the pills weren't ever super serious, like with the popping, but just every so often I just, there was a pain medication I'd pop one just because I wanted to feel good and stuff. So that wasn't my big one. Wasn't a big crutch. But so get into in all of this time, right? I'm getting bullied by everyone. My friend groups are leaving me constantly. I can't hold a girlfriend down for more than a couple weeks. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. Just being reinforced into my brain again and again and again and again. And then I get into high school, and I'm like, you know what? Like, screw this. I'm going to be a tough dude. I'm going to be a cool dude. I am totally reworking my image. So I get in there and I join like the partying group of people. And then, I get tough, I get mean, I get really sharp with my tongue, like silver tongue, kind of this lawyer mentality, like super sharp, and end up getting into drugs. Like vaping was the first thing I got into. And then I got into smoking cigarettes and weed. And then I got into drinking. And then the pornography turned into a sex addiction. And it all just, well, no, it didn't turn into, it morphed into as well. So like, I was doing everything. Everything. I was eating more carbs than I could count. I was constantly playing video games and watching TV, vaping, smoking, getting high, getting drunk, pursuing like any sort of sexual endeavor I possibly could. My life was being controlled by my addiction because that made me, in accordance with the friend group I had, that made me the man, right? I was enough when I could do those things.
Right.
And if I couldn't do those things, I was weak, I was pathetic, I was a lightweight, I was everything. So my whole life revolved around addiction for years. And I let it control me for a long time. And, I got my sister into drugs. My brother and I sometimes did drugs together. So like I was the black sheep of the family, like you hear that story in the Bible, the black sheep. I was the black sheep of my family. And I own it proudly now, but I was. And so high school is about done. And I get to this point where I'm like, I know more than my parents. I'm smarter than them. I don't agree with because they're members of Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Mormons. And I grew up in that religion, so Christian religion. And I'm not active at all, not active in a religious setting, not active with God, anything like that. And by that time I was like, screw this, I'm out. So I graduated high school early, got a job, and moved across the country.
Did you sell any drugs, by the way?
Did I sell any drugs?
Yeah.
I had friends who did, but I was too scared. I was
good.
No, I couldn't do it. I did definitely like smuggle some e-cigs into my high school for some people. Like, I'll own that. Like, I had a connection that a guy would sell them to me.
Yeah.
Like, and just like, it was ghetto. So I just go to his house and he'd have like this whole setup in his front living room. And I'd be like, give me this, this, and this. And he'd be like, okay. I'm like, do you check my ID? He's like, nah, you're good. He'd sell the stuff to me and I'd bring it back into school for my friends. So like, nicotine drug?
Nah.
No, I wasn't hustling. Okay. I wasn't selling pills or weed or anything like that. But definitely moved a lot of e-cigs in my day. I didn't make any money off it. People just, I wasn't that smart.
So you graduated, got a job.
So yeah, I graduated early from high school. I just did packets, got a job with a company called Vivint, and moved cross country. The alarms like ADT. And I was an alarm technician, so I installed the alarms. So I went there and it was just a party the whole time. Like, you go, you do your work. When you're done with your work, you make a bunch of money, you spend it on alcohol, and you just drink and you party. And I was 18 at the time. The people I was partying with were in their 20s and 30s, if not 40s. And so I was partying with the big dudes, in my opinion, the big leagues. And so I did that for a couple of years, and still in all of my addictions and everything I could. And just, again, not enough, just being constantly like tossed to the side by friends, or me pushing friends away. And quit that job, come home, and just bum it through a bunch of like bottom of the barrel style jobs, moving in and out of houses with friends, and just living this awful life where all I was doing was looking to confirm those inadequacies. Right. And I remember then I got into this group of friends who just really partied. I mean, not like, drink on the weekends, like they partied hard. Like, and I was friends with them for about a year, really struggled, and was suicidal through this whole time. Right. I know, and maybe a good thing to note there, I started feeling suicidal and having suicidal ideation when I was 12 is when I first wanted to kill myself. And I struggled with it. And I struggled with wanting to do self-harm and pushing myself and hurting myself and doing all those things. Went into an intensive care unit when I was 19. It was actually, I remember it was the new year, going from 2015 to 2016. And I just remember it so clearly because I was sitting there and I was waiting up till midnight just to say Happy New Year's, as I'm sitting there in a hospital gown in this like intensive lockup that no one can leave. And I remember this old lady came up to me and she's like, can you please sit out in front of my room? And I was like, why? She's like, because they're going to kill me if you don't. And I was just like, I need to get the flip out of here. This is not Chase.
ASAP, yo.
I need to get out of here. So I got on my best behavior there. I put on my good face and I was just like, hey, I'm good to go. Like, no, I'm symptom free. Like, I don't feel any negative emotions. You guys have cured me. Good job. I want to go home. And they were like, no, you got to stay. So I stayed for I think I stayed 5 days in the intensive care unit. One thing to mention too, just in the podcast, when I was working the job with Vivint and I was across the country, my sister completed suicide. So that definitely, what was that?
My condolences, dog.
Oh, thank you, man. It was 9 years ago. 9 years ago, last June. But that gaslit my drug addiction, my porn addiction, my everything addiction, all my addictions, because you can't cope with that kind of pain. You never do. It just gets easier. I mean, kind of cope, but never gets easy. You figure out how to deal with it. But that gaslit all of my issues, all of my inadequacies, like all of my, and then the survivor's guilt too, from being a survivor of like a sibling or like a child, just being like, man, what could I have done different? How could I have been better? And I'm the one who introduced her to drugs too. So I'm like, holy shit, like this is my fault.
It's my fault. Yeah,
it's all me. I'm not enough. I'm a failure. I'm, just down that rabbit hole again, ingrained more and more and more. So partying, back to being 20 and partying with these really hardcore partiers. And it's about 3 days before my 21st birthday. I remember it was December 2nd. and because my birthday is December 5th. And I remember sitting there one day. I think I woke up and I was really hungover.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I need God.
Mm.
I don't know where the shift, how
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense to me, to be
Was there
honest.
anything leading up to that moment? Like,
Getting drunk all the time, partying with my buddies.
was there something on TV? Was there something in your neighborhood? Was there a person like out there
No,
talking to you about it at all?
no. Well, I mean, I had met with some missionaries,
Mm.
and we had like kind of talked periodically, but
Mm-hmm.
it was more to create the persona or the appearance that I was doing more or being more than what I was.
Mm-hmm.
All a mask, right? All a mask to be perceived as someone that I wasn't, because I was a scared
Right.
little boy, is what I was.
Right.
And I was needy I was a 3-year-old trapped in a 20-year-old's body,
Mm-hmm.
and I had no idea how to cope with it. So, but no, I don't remember. Like, so there was probably a lot of things, just constantly getting drunk, the suicidality, the mental health, the depression and the anxiety and all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then meeting with the missionaries and all of these things. And finally something in me just switched.
Yeah.
It was the weirdest thing, but it was like, all right, you're done, Chase. You're done with this life. Go get with God, get right with a religion, find a group, and just stop. So I decided to personally join the LDS church, and I went and spoke with one of their congregation leaders, a bishop, and I had what was basically a confessional with him, or I think like 3 or 4 hours. And I sat down with him and I was like, all right, dude, ready? And he was like, bring it on. And I was like, all right, when I was 8,
right.
and started this whole confessional with him where I was like, I'm a sex addict, I'm a porn addict, I'm a nicotine addict, I'm a drug addict, I'm a pill addict, I'm a food addict, I'm a TV addict, I've harmed people, I've hurt people, I've wronged people, I've lied from people, I've stolen from people, I have cheated people, I have, you name it. Right. I have done it to people except kill or maim or seriously injure. I have manipulated. I have been the epitome of in my opinion, a closed-hearted life, just an angry life, a selfish life, a worthless life.
Yeah.
And we had that confessional with him, and I remember he's like, all right, it's going to take time, right? It's going to take time to step back into your heart. It's going to take time to repent of all of these sins. But if you're willing to do it, let's do it. Yeah. So I said, okay, what do I need to do? And he says, well, you need to get rid of all your cigarettes. You need to get rid of all your e-cigs, all your drugs, all your alcohol. You have to get rid of it all, and you need to change your life. You need to start praying, reading your scriptures, doing the Lord's work. We're going to get you a calling in the church. We're going to, we're going to get you going, but you have to commit to it. And I said, okay, I'm done. So I remember I went home that night and I threw away my alcohol. I threw away my cigarettes, my nicotine, my drugs. I threw away everything. And I walked away from all of it cold turkey.
How was porn?
I couldn't shake that one.
Yeah, that was.
To be honest with you, I couldn't.
That's a bad boy.
Yeah, that one I couldn't shake. But everything else I walked away from cold turkey, and I had no withdrawals, withdrawals whatsoever.
That's awesome.
That's God. That is nothing but God. All credit to Him. My body couldn't do it. He took it from me, and I give Him credit for that completely.
For sure.
But I couldn't shake the pornography.
It's so easy. Phones then too, and computers. I'm
holding up for a podcast. I held my cell phone. Like it is so accessible, and it is everywhere. It is absolutely everywhere. And
just sexuality in general. Yeah.
Exactly. And I was a grown adult, so no one can monitor and control my phone. I had to.
Yeah.
And when I thought God took everything from me, I thought He took that too. Wasn't true. But I struggled with it, but I got right with the Lord. I paid off debt. I was going to church. I was reading my scriptures. I had my calling. I was teaching the 12-year-olds, like 11 and 12-year-olds, because we like in the LDS church, they pair them by ages. And so I was with these 11 and 12-year-old kids, and I'm teaching them about the gospel. And I'm just I had tattoos and I swore and like, but I couldn't shake that. And I'm referencing to my phone, like I couldn't shake my pornography addiction. I kept checking in with my bishop, and he's like, hey, you know what? Good job. Thanks for telling me you're good. Keep going. And I was like, okay. And after a while, I started getting to this mind of justification where I was like, you know what? I don't have to tell him because he's just going to say I'm good anyways.
Yeah.
And then finally, I in and out of relationships still, but still just trying to get right. Meet my wife, or reconnect with my wife because I met her in high school.
Oh, cool.
And we started dating. Things got serious pretty quick. And I told myself like, hey, you know what? If I get married to her, then we can have some fun. And this addiction is not going to be my vice anymore.
Yeah.
Right. It's not gonna be an addiction anymore. And oh, I was wrong. Like I was so wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But we got married
Mm-hmm.
and still couldn't shake the addiction.
Yeah.
And tried so many things to, I was lying about it. I was right back into my addictive behaviors, right to what I've been doing my whole developmental life. Because I started addiction when I was 8, right? So once your brain develops around 7, 8, going forward, it was nothing but addiction.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So my brain, conscious brain develops from 8 to 25, from my understanding. And so so married and have our first kid together and trying doing a bunch of things, different careers, nothing works, addiction, lying, all that kind of stuff. Trying to go to school, that didn't work. Trying to do these things, that didn't work because I was never enough for any of it, right? So I just kept creating paradigms that pushed me away from things so I could continually confirm that I wasn't enough.
So like when you were in this relationship, like, so now you're married.
I'm married, yeah.
And you probably didn't feel like you were enough for her.
No, I wasn't. And no, not at all. Because so codependency, right? Super common. If she wasn't happy, I wasn't performing as a husband.
Exactly.
If she was questioning me, she didn't trust me because I wasn't a good enough husband. I wasn't enough. Right? Always back to I wasn't enough.
You took everything personally.
Everything, dude. I was am I okay to swear on this podcast?
Go for it. Shit.
I was such a little bitch. Like I really was. I was such a victim. I was in the victim mode wholeheartedly. And so we have my son, try doing more careers, nothing works. I'm just I'm failing as a husband, I'm failing as a father. And then finally we have our second child. And it's my little daughter. And I remember my little girl. And I remember holding her, and her name's Willow. I call her Willow Bug. I remember holding Willow Bug in my hands. And I had this realization that I was like, I would never want her to marry an asshole like me. The way I show up in my marriage, the way I lie and manipulate and all these things, never in my ever will I ever want her to marry a man like me.
Willow forced you to get real with yourself on a different level.
I had to check myself.
Yeah.
I really had to check myself deeper than I ever had. And I had to say, I'm going to be the example of the man she's going to marry. I'm going to be her first love, right? I'm going to be her first crush. I'm going to be her first dates. I'm going to be all of her firsts. And if I am functioning at the frequency of manipulation, lying, betrayal, backstabbing, double crossing, that's the type of man she's going to marry. And I will be damned if my daughter is going to marry a man like that.
Wow.
So I got real serious. I joined a recovery group up where I live. I live in Logan, Utah. So I joined a recovery group up here. And we went through what's called a foundations class with them, and where they just talk about the basics of recovery work. And me and my wife did it together. And I remember too, because our daughter was like 2 months at the time, and we would bring her to the foundations group with us. And even when I was in the foundations group, it was a 6-week course. It was happening every week. I was also at the same time doing ketamine therapy. Because I thought that ketamine therapy could really help with my addictive tendencies because it would help with the anxiety and the depression. And ketamine resets the neural pathways in your brain too. So I thought if I could reset my brain, I could train it how to be good. I could train it how to be right, act right, do right. And so I was doing ketamine on Tuesdays. I was doing the foundations group on Thursdays. I was working like 60 something hours a week as a real estate agent. And
so you already gotten into entrepreneurship by this time too.
Yeah. So I started my real estate career when I was 21, I believe. 21,
okay.
22.
So, and this was after you hit that rock bottom area?
Yes.
Because you said you had been bouncing from job to job after Vivint?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then.
Yes. So I did a bunch of those, ended up working for a contact center for a credit union. And as I was working there, so my dad, he's a mortgage loan originator, and he showed me a check of a real estate agent. He's like, look at the type of money you could make. And I was like, I'm gonna be a real estate agent, man. It's like an $18,000 check. And he was like, you could make this in like a month. And I was like, that's more money than I've made in my whole life, dude. Like, sign me up. So I went down to a tech college, and when I was 20, no, I was 21, actually. Yeah, I was 21. I apologize. And I went through the course to become a real estate agent, got all my licensure, and joined a brokerage, and was kind of starting that. So yeah, even then I was doing entrepreneurial style things. And I had little like side gigs from time to time. Like I tried to start up like those machines that make like foam, like massive amounts of foam.
No, I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, they're just foam machines. And I found these ones on Amazon for like $100. And my kids, who were like 1, 2, in our neighborhood, which had a bunch of kids at the time, loved it. And I was like, dude, I could turn this into a rental business. Like, this would be sweet.
Yeah.
Charge people like $60 an hour for the machine, give them a couple of solutions to make stuff. And so I'm a real estate agent. I'm doing like a party business, like a party rental business.
Yeah.
And then I've tried a bunch of different things, like I've tried doing like pet waste removal. I've done the party rental. At one point I tried to, have you ever heard of like the trade ups style things that people do? What you can do basically is you can get on to like your like local classifieds and be like, hey, I've got these really cool blue light glasses. I want to trade up to something bigger and better. What do you got? And you just let people give you something bigger and better. And so I started this whole thing where I was like, I'm going to get my wife a Jeep because she's always wanted a Jeep. So I got a pen and I got on Facebook. I was, hey guys, I have this pen and I'm trading up to a Jeep for my wife who wants to help me in this journey. And people were like, it blew up. I had close to 1,000 people following me, but I was able to trade from like a pen to a scooter to a wagon to couches to a pit bike to a car. And then we traded in her car and this car for a Jeep. It took me a month and it took me like 5 trades. And so it's like, I was like, dude, I'm going to start a business where I host big events and I do like, so it's going to be called the trade games and people are going to have 24 hours to go and trade up as high as they can. And I've always been an idea guy, so I always, it's like, man, what can I do that's unique and it's interesting? And it really started getting bigger and bigger as I was in recovery and kind of living more authentically and creatively. And so like, I was going to do the trade games. I tried to do the pet waste removal. I tried to do a party rental business. And for me, I just like, it didn't grow as quick as I wanted. And I was like, oh, I'm not enough, right? Like I can't do it because it's not growing and it's not blowing up like what you see the 0.001% of all businesses do in the world, right? It doesn't blow up. So it's not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not smart enough. And I just leave it in the dust. And so real estate agent doing all these things and stepping into like, I'm in the foundations group and I'm doing the ketamine. And I get to this point where I'm like, the foundations group's over, and then I finally joined like a group, a guys group, like sex addiction anonymous or something like that. It's a group like that, Christian-based group. And it was probably about a month or 2 into it that I finally was like, whoa, I actually want to do this for me. I feel great when I'm sober. And so that's where it really switched for me. And that's where I really stepped into like full-hearted recovery and really just stepping into like my value, connecting myself to me, to my heart and to God. And that's where things started getting really good. So I did that for a while. I was still a real estate agent for a long time. And then in March of last year, so I'm doing the real estate. I'm doing really good. I'm really successful. I'm one of the top 250 in my within like 5 or 6 counties. So I'm really hustling, really good. And making a lot of money. And my wife gets a concussion back in March of last year, I believe. In March of last year of 22. And she was playing soccer. She gets home. She goes, climbs in bed like 10:30 at night. And she can get out of bed for like 2 weeks.
Damn.
Yeah. She was totally bedridden with blackout curtains, noise canceling headphones, face mask on. Everything gave her a migraine. Everything made her sick to her stomach. And at the time, our kids were like 2 and 1. So my 60, 70 hour weeks went from 60, 70 hours to maybe 20 hours, full-time dad, full-time homemaker, and full-time nurse for my wife. And then right after that, she got a really bad stomach infection. So she was right in bed too. So it was brutal for about a month. And a little side story. So my mom, about the wellness center, the red light therapy that I do it with her. And she got a red light therapy bed in her house. And my mom kept telling me like, hey, bring your wife down, her name's Keela, bring Keela here. And I'm like, Mom, she can't even get out of bed. Like, I
Right.
don't know how you expect me to drive, because she lives about an hour and a half away. I don't know how you
Right.
expect me to drive an hour and a half, 3 hours both ways. Well, I'm trying to work, raise two kids, make the home, keep my wife alive, and all these things. And yeah. And she was like, get her down here, damn it. And I was like, okay. So after about 2 weeks, she's finally able to get in the car, like have enough energy and mind power to get up from her bed, walk down the stairs, and go get in the car. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but for her, it wiped her out like the whole day. But I remember, like, we'd drive, she'd have a neck pillow, a blanket, noise canceling headphones, 2 sleep masks on, just to drive.
Right.
And so we drive down, and it was 4 sessions of red light therapy in this bed that my mom had. And my wife was better. Total 180 of herself. And it was so cool. And I realized at that moment that, and throughout that process too, I realized, I'm like, this works. I have no idea. Like, my wife and I's relationship is honestly failing because I don't know her, because I'm working so much. And I don't know who my kids are, and I don't know what they're like what their personalities are like, because I'm working so much. So I hung up my real estate license like a month later and walked away.
Wow.
I was done. And I went and joined this little nonprofit organization that paid me $13.50 an hour and I only worked part-time, and to go and learn. It's a place called the Family Place. I still love it, but basically kids in my area who get displaced from their parents go to the Family Place. So I had to be, my funny title was male involvement specialist. I was a daycare worker, but it was male, and they wanted to give me a fancy title to make me feel good because of all of the real estate stuff. Like, I sit down and I'm like, listen, I've done, close to $30 million worth of real estate transactions, top 250 real estate agent, performance and awards and all these things. And there's like, you want to come work for us? And, and they're like, so I go and I start working for them, and they teach me really quickly how to be a dad and how to love kids and how to play. Cause I've totally forgotten how to play. I never got to play. I mean, I did, but it was all looking for attention. It was all gratification seeking play. It wasn't just true, honest, full hearted play. So did that, and did that for a couple of months, and financially it was not working out. Shifting from making a lot of money as a real estate agent, making $13.50 an hour part-time, that's a little bit of a culture shock. Just a little bit, with 2 kids and a wife and an apartment. And we have an apartment and cars, and not nice cars, but because her Jeep was free, so that was nice.
Right.
But so I'm talking to my mom, because she was up at my house and we were having like this big party, and my mom says, well, Chase, I'm actually going to open up a wellness center called the Wellness Center, the red light therapy bed. It's called the Regen Q8 pod. I'm going to buy 3 more of them, and I'm going to put them in the pod. Come be my partner and let's do this together. And she's like, I'll pay you double what you're making there. And I was like, done. Like, boom, I'm over there. So I get to be my own boss again. I get to set my own hours, kind of. But so she onboards me, and I go down, and we just start building this business together. Right? Like, nothing had been established: procedures, policies, code of ethics, our story, what's our reason, where are we going, what's our motto and our slogans, and blah 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 blah. And and then on top of it, like, so these red light therapy beds, why I love them so much is not only is it red light therapy, but the red light therapy can pulse at different frequencies. And what science is learning is that with these specific frequencies that are pulsing, it can recalibrate the body in different ways. 100%. And this pod is proving to, and I'm not a doctor, so I can't say healing, but like, there are people with post-concussion syndrome, which is any concussion symptom that you've dealt with for over 2 weeks. We've seen them totally go away in people. Crazy. Hundreds of people. So that's our thing. That's our niche. So, and my big thing is mental health, right? Because that's what I've struggled with my whole life. So I joined my mom, and we just take off, and we just start working this job. We've been doing it for a little over a year now. And I deal with a lot of imposter syndrome in this job, to be honest with you, because our people who have the same pods who are competitors are like Harvard fellows, doctors, co-chairs of concussion and PTSD style people. Right. And I'm a drug addicted college dropout. So,
but not anymore. You're not
anymore.
Yeah.
very different backgrounds there. And so I know that like I had this imposter syndrome and I was like, all right, my mom expects us, me, her, and our team, because we've got 3 employees, to be leading industry experts. And I was
Yeah.
like, and I have no idea how you become a leading industry expert in
Mm-hmm.
red light therapy. And so what I did is my mom introduced me to Google Scholar. Google Scholar, they publish,
Yeah.
yeah. So you just look up the word, and the fancy term for what we do is photobiomodulation.
Right.
Yeah, light body recalibration.
Mm-hmm.
And I got on Google Scholar, I looked at photobiomodulation, and I got my window, like my screen, and I just like put put one tab on each side,
Uh-huh.
Webster's Dictionary and these Google Scholars, and I just started reading, and I haven't stopped. And I've read hundreds of scientific studies and
I
literature
love
about
it.
red light therapy,
I
and I have
love it.
just taught myself how to be an industry expert in this field. And it's been really cool to delve into something almost to make it my addiction at this point.
Yeah.
But it's benefiting people, and it's serving
100%.
people, and it's fulfilling me on a spiritual and temporal level.
Mm.
And so, yeah, so that's what I do now, man. But I still struggle with that inadequacy, that the inadequacy.
Bro, I got so many questions for you. All right. Earlier on, did your parents put pressure on you when you were a kid to be a high performer?
Yes, yes, they did, and they didn't believe in me in some ways.
I got you.
I remember my parents would always want me to do things or work really hard, right? They
Hmm.
wanted me to have a good work ethic. My
Hmm.
dad grew up on a farm, so he loved working hard. My mom was really big into politics. She also was, yeah, big into business. So they pushed really hard, you
Hmm.
know, do good, be right, listen good, follow the rules. And there was a lot of pushing there. And there was a lot where they didn't believe in me. And I believe it's reverse psychology, because I do it to my kids sometimes. But it was like when I was in 9th grade, I wanted to wrestle because my brother was a good wrestler.
Hmm.
And my mom said, no, you wouldn't be good in wrestling. I firmly believe you can't do it.
Mm.
I was like, okay,
Yeah.
let me show you what
Right.
I can do. And
Oh, oh,
have a bunch of medals to show for that one. That pushed me really hard.
that's
And
awesome.
they put me in a bunch of different things. Like, I was in karate, I played all the sports, I
Yeah.
did taekwondo. They pushed me really hard. And I felt like and at the same time too, when you grow up in a lot of money, there's a certain mentality or a certain lifestyle, a prestigious lifestyle you have to live. So like they taught me how to properly set a table, and how to have like dinner parties, and what to say, how to act, who to be. It's not what it's who but also what because and how to dress right, how to do your hair right, how to
Hmm.
just all. Yeah, there was definitely this like almost like rigorous training
Hmm.
to be more than what we were capable of doing at that moment.
Mm. So like they were grooming you for success in so many ways.
And failure
Mm,
at the
touche.
same time. Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, absolutely, they wanted me because they were business owners, they were entrepreneurs, right?
Hmm.
So they wanted the same for me, and they understood how hard it was and how much work needed to happen, so they were grooming me for that. But for whatever reason, the way I interpreted it, based off of things that happened prior to where they really started pushing me, was that no matter what, I couldn't be as hardworking as my dad. I couldn't be as smart and cunning as my mom.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Damn. So like with the addictions that you had, was it just so you could feel numb and not like feel as though the whole world was on your shoulders?
it was two parts. It was to feel numb when there was
Hmm.
super heavy emotions. It
Yeah.
was also to feel good, right? Like you get drunk to have a good time.
Yeah.
You get high to go laugh with your buddies, right?
Right.
And have a good time. So part of it was that was a source of connection for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
but it was also a way that I didn't have to feel suicidal.
Right. Right. So I mean, a lot of your success in business, did it come because you had such amazing mentors with your mom and dad?
Yeah, partly.
Yeah.
They were
But
amazing.
but also you got a hustle in you as well. Like you're an idea person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely I want to improve the world with my ideas.
Hmm.
And I also have something to prove, because I have that like the imposter syndrome and the inferiority. It's like kind of like back to that wrestling thing where my mom was like, "Hey, you couldn't do it." And I'm like, "Let me show you." Let me show you. Like the whole
Yeah.
world doesn't think I'm enough. So
Hmm.
let me show you how enough I really am. Right.
You,
Like it drove me and it has still driven me to this day that it's like I have something to prove because people don't believe I'm enough. And I've got to get right in their face and force it. Like, hey, here's Chase. I'm enough. And that's where my hustle comes from. I have to prove it.
yeah.
People have to know.
You have this huge chip on your shoulder, and we're about to release the limiting belief that I'm not good enough today.
Okay.
You're
Let's
like,
do it. I'm
okay.
so ready.
What are you gonna like? I wonder how that is gonna correlate with you and your mindset towards everything now with that chip not necessarily being on your shoulder, or the chip might stay on your shoulder, but in a different manner. I wonder.
You know, I don't know. I've never not had something to prove.
Yeah,
I've never just been enough
yeah.
because I am where I am.
I'm
You know,
sorry,
even in
but
my recovery, they say like, "Hey, you're a great man who's a work in progress. Like you're
mm-hmm.
great, but you're still not enough." So,
God.
so it's like I love that mentality though, because it's like I'm great. I can accept that I'm good as I am,
Yeah.
but I still need to push myself. But there's something. See, I see that. I see the look on your face. Right, right.
It's like it's always striving. It's always I know, and I get that. I get that it's always, you're always striving to be better, but not being good enough. That's just
And my therapist one time said it to me perfectly. Recovery work is the slow process of unveiling who you want to be as a person and then
mhm.
living that full-heartedly. And
Yeah.
I want to be able to do that, but I don't want the unveiling part to be because I have something to prove. I want to be able to unveil it just because I want to love me and I want to get to know who I am and I want to know who I'm going to be at 28 and 29 and 30 and I want to be excited to discover who I am. I don't want to do it because I've got a chip on my shoulder and something to prove.
100. In the process that let's get into it. Yo, on the second part, so on the Drop Your Baggage podcast, we talk to people that are dope, that can give you hope and show you a technique that can help you cope. Now, I do that. I show people how to cope with a technique called mental and emotional release. Now, I want to let you know that I am not a psychiatrist, a psychotherapist. I'm not a social worker. I am a self-talk engineer that specializes in neuro linguistic programming and the mental and emotional release process. And I use this process on the podcast to show people like you can totally change your life in minutes. You know what I mean? When you have the right guide. So just letting you know that. And today we're going to be releasing the limiting belief that I'm not good enough, which you talked about for like the last 30 some odd minutes. So like we don't need to know how it affects your life. I just got to tell you some things. Number one, or I got to just tell you like, yo, in order for you to have a profound experience, you only have to do three things. Number one, you got to
Okay.
use your imagination. Number two, you got to trust the process.
Okay.
Just know that I'm your guide. I'll be leading you through this easily and effortlessly.
Okay.
And I come from a place of love and high vibrations. And number three, you have to follow directions just like you follow a good recipe or Google Maps.
Deal.
Yeah, for all my peoples out there, I'm sorry I did those out of order. Hey, and also, we have to create an imaginary timeline. Now, with your imaginary timeline, your past can be to your left, to your right, or behind you. Where's
Okay.
your past? First thought, go.
Above me. I know you say left, right, or behind, but like when I think about it, I feel like it looms.
Okay.
But
As long as it's not in front of you, we're fine. Okay.
no, it's above or behind.
No, we can go above. No, you said
Okay.
above. That's where your intuition went. That's where we're gonna go.
I'll trust
Where's your future?
in front of me.
Okay, okay, that's cool. All right. Is it all right with your unconscious mind for you to release this limiting belief that I'm not good enough today and for you to be aware of it consciously?
Yes.
Awesome. Now, the root cause of this problem you said was you when you were 3 years old and your family adopted your little sister.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Now, when they adopted your little sister, you said obviously they adopted her because they needed another kid and you weren't good enough. That's what you said.
Yep.
All right, now let's do the mind body connection. Now, with the mind body connection, when you think about I'm not good enough, when you feel that in your body, go ahead and connect to that. Where do you feel it in your body?
Feel it in the back of my head and in my heart.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, how intense is it?
It's an 8.
Nate. Now, you felt the first time that you felt that way was when you were 3. Let's get other times in which you felt as though you weren't good enough. Give me two more times in which you felt as though you weren't good enough, that were pretty intense times for you. You don't have to go into the story.
When I was 6.
6, got it. 6 years old.
Yep.
All right. And
when I was 18.
18 years old. Got it. Oh, 6 is when they didn't
Readopted.
readopted your sister?
Yeah, they adopted her back out to.
Got you. Got you. Readopted. That's the word for it. Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Bruh. It's about to go down, cuz.
Okay.
Let's go, Chase. All right. Let's get it. All right. All right. So you can go ahead and close your eyes and relax and let me know when you're ready for the process.
I'm ready.
All right. Here we go. Now, just imagine floating outside of your body as if though you were spirit or energy. And just imagine seeing yourself right here, right now, from a third person point of view, like a fly on the wall. See the weights, the bench press behind you, the mic in front of you, the couch behind you, couch or chair behind you, slick back hair, your beard. Let me know when you can see yourself from a third person point of view.
Got it.
Awesome. Now, just imagine floating up above yourself into the past and float deeper and deeper and deeper into the past and float above that first event in which you felt as though I'm not good enough when you were just a 3-year-old boy, and just see that event, observe that event like a fly on the wall. Let me know when you can see that event.
I can see it.
Awesome. Now, as you see that event and observe that event, just stay right there. Be the observer of that event. Don't go down into it. Be the observer. And as you do so, just ask your unconscious mind what it needs to learn from the event, the learning of which that will allow you to let go of the emotions easily and effortlessly. Your unconscious mind can preserve the learnings so that if you need them in the future, they'll be there. Just tell your unconscious mind to preserve the learnings. This is an exercise of forgiveness and acceptance. Forgiveness for yourself and others, and acceptance of yourself and others. Who do you have to forgive? What do you have to accept? Who do you have to accept? Now, keep your eyes closed, Chase, and listen closely. You have to pour love into that kid. You have to love that child. Love that child and empower that 3-year-old kid more than that kid has ever been loved before. Pour God's love into that kid, that unconditional love into that kid. See how pure he is, how innocent he is. Tell that kid about the wonderful man that he becomes and all the struggles that he's gotten through, all the struggles that he's overcome, and how amazing he is, just as that little boy, and he's already good enough. Have empathy and compassion for your mom and your dad and everyone else inside the event. And as you do so, focus your attention upon how hurt people hurt people. Make sure you see from everybody's perspective inside that event. Your mom's perspective, your dad's perspective. And once again, realize that hurt people hurt people. And we're all doing the best that we can with the resources and consciousness that we have. We're all doing the best that we can with the resources and consciousness that we have. We can't control anyone else's actions, but we can control our response. We can grow stronger and wiser and learn from other people's actions and mistakes. You can learn what to do and learn what not to do. Other people's actions have nothing to do with you. It's only a reflection of their baggage or their consciousness or whatever that's going on at the time. Once again, other people's actions have nothing to do with you. It's only a reflection of their baggage and their consciousness and whatever that's going on at the time. And we're better people than we were when those events occurred. You're a better person than you were when those events occurred. You're stronger. You're wiser. What is something positive and empowering? You can tell that little boy and your mom and your dad and everyone else involved in the event with the consciousness that you have today that will allow the emotions to evaporate like water on the concrete on a hot summer day. And as you preserve these learnings, the emotions are starting to dissipate more and more until they're all gone. Just let me know when they're all gone. That's right. Let it all go. That's right.
They're gone.
Awesome. Now, with you floating above the event and your eyes closed, tell me, what did you learn from the event?
I was so loved. And that my perception as a little 3-year-old wasn't complete. It was faulty. It was susceptible to humanity, and that my parents loved us so much, and that I loved my parents so much. I just didn't understand. That's okay. It's all okay.
Was that little 3-year-old boy enough?
More than enough. He was. It is incredible.
Amen. All right. Very good. Very good. Now, just imagine floating up above your timeline and float upward into the past and float deeper and deeper and deeper into the past above the dinosaurs during the prehistoric age. Let me know when you're above the dinosaurs.
Damn.
Awesome. Now, as you're above the dinosaurs, just imagine floating into space and float deeper and deeper and deeper into space to where space and the atmosphere connects. And imagine your timeline is the size of a fingernail. Let me know when you're there.
I'm there.
All right. Now, just imagine floating there, weightless, in space, and ask yourself now, where are the emotions? Tell me, are they there or have they disappeared? Now,
No, they're gone.
awesome. Now, just imagine floating down inside the event, seeing through your own eyes as a 3-year little boy. Let me know, are the emotions there or have they disappeared? Now,
No, they're gone.
awesome. Now, just imagine floating back above the dinosaurs and then float into space to where space and the atmosphere connects. Let me know when you're there.
I'm there.
All right, listen closely. Flow very, very high above your timeline, above each and every event in which you felt as though I'm not good enough, from birth until now in chronological order. Don't skip one event that has a charge on it. Preserve the learnings and let go of that limiting belief all the way back to now. Go. And as you preserve these learnings, the emotions are starting to dissipate more and more until they're all gone. Just let me know when they're all gone. Yes. Take your time. That's right. All gone?
All gone.
Awesome. Go down into your body and open your eyes when you're ready.
Some good stuff, dude. Some good stuff, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, some good stuff.
Hell yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. How you feeling?
Grounded.
Mm,
Very peaceful.
mm,
It's funny. One thing I always try and do is check in with my heart and see if I can feel the energy in my heart.
mm,
And typically I can't. And right now it's just like overwhelming.
mm,
Like just the energy I can feel right there.
A lot of love energy, yo.
Yeah.
Self-love, probably.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right. Do you smell biscuits?
I don't smell biscuits.
Okay. I asked that. I asked that just to get your mind off the meditation. Okay. You're like,
Okay.
no.
Like my wife's cooking biscuits right now. How do you know? No.
No, right? It's like I'm also telepathic. No. Can you remember a time in the past in which you used to feel that old emotion, or when you used to feel that limiting belief? You know what I mean? Or think that limiting belief, and go back and notice if you can think it. You know what I mean? Or you may find that you cannot.
Like I can definitely honor that it was there, but I know it doesn't affect me today.
Awesome. I want you to go out into the future.
Okay.
To an unspecified time in the future, in which if the same thing would have happened in the past, you would have thought that I'm not good enough. But it's the future now. So see if you can find that old emotion, or you may find that you cannot.
I can't even see it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, the whole reason things have left is because I pushed it away. And I'm not going to push things away anymore. So I'm not going to fail.
Congratulations. You just released the limiting belief that I'm not good enough.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You really seem at peace right now. So
still can't smell biscuits though.
All right, so let's check on it.
Okay.
Mind-body connection. You said you were feeling it in the back of your head and then your heart, and it was at an intensity of an 8. Now, when you think about the limiting belief that I'm not good enough, how is that?
I don't feel it in my heart anymore. And I almost feel like it's more intense in the back of my brain, but the intensity is fighting it, not believing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. It's like when I think the thought I'm not enough, my head screams, that's bullshit.
That's awesome.
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So like in the back of my head, my amygdala,
yeah,
I believe is where it's at. It's just like it's almost doing like a dopamine dump, and it's saying like, no, you are enough.
That's awesome.
This is good.
How was that internal conversation before?
When I would say like I'm not enough, it was almost like it was peaceful almost, because it was like, you're right. I'm not enough. It's like, yeah, you're right. You are not enough. But
damn. Yeah.
Now I say that, and like I can almost feel my stomach just like get a little queasy. It's like, that's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Yeah. Kind of like that feeling when you lie.
Yeah. Like, that guilt.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Different events in which you felt that limiting belief. 3 years old. When your sister was adopted. How does that feel now?
Exciting.
That's awesome. What about when you were 6 years old? Readoption.
Sad she had to go.
Mm-hmm. And 18 years old.
I don't want to die.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's awesome. No. Uh, bruh, like it's it's just it was just so prevalent in your story. So
Mhm.
like tell us about just like what you went through in this process just now.
You know, it was really hard for me to
Hmm.
see each one of those situations. I felt
Hmm.
like everything was really foggy and blurry, almost like my subconscious was trying to shade my conscious mind or
Hmm.
protect my conscious mind from having to relive it.
Hmm.
But as I could go through these moments and like see those places, and all I was saying was, it's like they were hurt and you're
Hmm.
enough. They were hurt, you're enough, and it's okay.
Hmm.
They were hurt, you're enough, and it's okay.
Hmm.
And it's just like it was that process of doing that every time. These people were hurt,
Right.
but that has nothing to do with you. It's enough, and you're okay. And it was so fast each moment, because there are so many little instances I didn't talk about today
Hmm.
where I was hurt by people. You know, like the girl didn't text me back, or the guy called me a fag, or all those little moments, or my dad, like, he kicked me in the butt once because I poured hot water on my sister, and her, like stupid shit that you do when you're
Yeah.
kids. And those just like, he was hurt, he was scared, but that's okay, because I'm okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Damn. Damn. A lot of people say that it was tough for them to go back to those events. Was it tough for you? No.
No, I've in my recovery work, I've been going back to them a lot recently, so it
Yeah.
wasn't new. I just saw it from a different perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. For somebody that hasn't been through this process as of yet, like
Pay him lots of money to
Thank
do it.
you.
Yeah, yeah, I got you, dude. I get entrepreneurship. We got to pay the bills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like like how can you describe your process as much as possible, or the process that, or this process, you know what I mean, for somebody that hasn't gone through this as of yet and looking for hope.
There is a big difference between conscious and subconscious commitment.
Hmm.
And unless you're subconsciously ready, start working towards that. The conscious mind will say one thing, but you'll believe another.
Hmm.
But when you fully believe that you're ready to change, this process is that quick.
Boom, boom. It's crazy how quick it is, ain't it?
It's crazy what a meditate like a guided meditation can do.
Yo, because it, like you said, it helps you communicate with that subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, and I love that you're just observing the events. You're not stuck in it again.
Yeah.
Because when I talk about things, I talk about it from my point of view. I'm high. Like if I'm like mad about something, like, man, yeah, you remember he said this, and I can't believe he said, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But when you observe it, you're looking at the scenario as in humanity.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
it
go
was
ahead.
it was cool, and such. Sorry, I see what you're wanting me to talk about now.
Yeah.
It was cool. Like, there were moments where I remember like getting rejected by a girl in junior
Hmm.
high as I was going through this, and I remember like looking over top and seeing kind of like the douchebag dude she decided to date. Yeah. and and I remember just like standing there and just seeing that rejection, and just feeling like so much like rejection and loss. But like as I floated over it and I saw it myself and I saw her, and I was just like, she's in a lot of pain.
Mm.
That doesn't mean you weren't a great guy. And I'm
Hmm.
looking down because I'm hovering over it. It's like,
Hmm.
or I'd go to my dad, like,
Yeah.
like yelling at me, or my mom yelling at me, and I'd be like, wow, they were really in fear there.
Hmm.
They weren't acting in their best self, but that doesn't have anything to do with me. Yeah, it has everything to do with them, or it doesn't have anything to do with that 14-year-old boy, just everything to do with them. And wow, it's really cool I call them like fishbowls. Like, everyone lives in a fishbowl, right? And they can only
Yeah.
see what's in their fishbowl. But
Yeah.
if you can go through that process and you can take yourself out of your own fishbowl and look at yourself from the big scope, the big, within multiple fishbowls, it's
Hmm.
it's really enlightening.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Chase, congratulations. You are officially a baggage dropper.
Love it.
Hell yeah, dog. Hell yeah. I'm
Thank you, bro.
so excited for you, man. So excited for you. Just get that chip off your damn shoulder. You know what I mean? Hey, just think like, man, I just wonder how your relationship with your kids and your parents and your wife and your employees, like how all these relationships with yourself and with God, like how all these relationships can shift big time.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing.
Whatever it is, it's gonna be good.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
Hell yeah. Well, dog, just thank you. Thank you so much. Where can people see you besides, Fox 13, of course, but where can people see you and the work that you've done and get in touch with you in the Wellness Center?
Yeah, man. So I don't have social media. I do, I just don't use it. But the wellnesscenter.life, www.thewellnesscenter.life. That's our website. You guys can find my contact information on there. You can reach out if you have any questions. Yeah, that's probably the best place to get a hold of me.
Hell yeah. Hey, once again, Chase, phenomenal, dog. I appreciate you so much for coming on the damn show, bro. I
Dude,
appreciate
thank
you.
you,
Yo.
Charles. I appreciate you having me, dude.
Yeah,
An honor.
And hey, yo, I appreciate y'all for y'all attention and for y'all support and y'all love. If you guys are here right now, still, ain't watching this, listening to this, I just can't just tell you my love for you is ineffable. And with that, y'all, please go ahead and smash that like button if you're on Facebook or YouTube. And if you're on a podcast platform, give a brother 5 stars and some feedback as well.
It's free,
Also,
guys.
right? Also, I'm hosting a free masterclass on how to heal anxiety in 30 days on July 27th, 28th, and 29th. Go to anxietygoneforgood.com. Once again, that is anxietygoneforgood.com. Come to the masterclass and you can actually experience what Chase just experienced too. You guys, you take care of yourself, take care of one another. Peace.